Trump administration, White House respond to Minneapolis ICE clash and fatal shooting. January 26 to 27, 2026, Minneapolis/Washington, D.C., the Biden-era political battleground over federal immigration enforcement escalated this week after federal agents killed a Minneapolis man during an immigration operation, prompting national outrage, legal challenges, and a notable shift in the Trump administration's approach. Federal operation and fatal shooting ignite outrage. The controversy centers on Operation Metro Surge, a massive immigration enforcement operation launched by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security in Minnesota. It has deployed thousands of Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) and Customs and Border Protection (CBP) agents to the Minneapolis-St. Paul metropolitan area, drawing protests and legal challenges over federal authority, civil liberties, and the safety of communities. On January 24, a federal Border Patrol agent fatally shot Alex Jeffrey Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse who was present during an enforcement action in Minneapolis. Preddy's death, the second killing of a U.S. citizen by federal immigration officers in the state this month, ignited protests across Minnesota and heightened national scrutiny. Video evidence shared publicly appeared to contradict initial official claims about the nature of the encounter, showing Preddy holding only a phone when he was tackled and shot. A federal judge has ordered federal authorities to preserve related evidence and hearings continue over access and transparency. White House response and Trump's touch points. At a White House briefing, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt defended the administration's enforcement strategy, saying President Trump does not want to see people killed on U.S. streets, while stressing a commitment to deporting violent criminal illegal aliens. She blamed local politicians for resisting federal enforcement and encouraged cooperation with immigration authorities. President Trump has also begun to recalibrate the messaging and leadership on the ground. Trump dispatched Tom Homan, his self-styled border czar and former acting ICE director, to Minnesota to assume oversight of federal immigration operations, a rare public move underscoring the political sensitivity of the crisis. The controversial Border Patrol commander, Gregory Bovino, along with some agents, is reportedly set to leave Minneapolis amid frustration within the administration over how the crisis has unfolded and been covered. Trump spoke by phone with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, describing the call as very good and signaling a possible willingness to adjust operations, even as he reiterated support for strong enforcement. Public and political backlash. The fatal shooting and federal response have sparked a wide array of public reactions. Local leaders argue that the presence of ICE and federal agents constitutes an occupation that undermines public safety and violates constitutional limits on federal authority. A federal court is reviewing Minnesota's lawsuit alleging that the operation violates the 10th Amendment. Protests have spread beyond Minneapolis to other U.S. cities, with demonstrators demanding accountability for Preddy's death and broader reforms to federal immigration enforcement. Polling indicates a notable rise in support for abolishing ICE among the American public, including among some Republican voters, a rare shift in public sentiment on a traditionally partisan issue. Both Democratic and Republican lawmakers have called for independent, transparent investigations into the shooting and enforcement tactics, even as partisan disputes continue over funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Legal, policy, and future stakes. Minnesota officials have sought temporary restraining orders to halt the operation, while a federal judge has ordered federal authorities to address the motives behind the state's challenge and preserve critical investigative evidence. The dispute has also intersected with broader budget negotiations in Congress, where immigration enforcement funding is becoming a flashpoint in spending bills. Failure to reconcile these differences could contribute to a partial government shutdown as budget deadlines loom. Bottom line, the White House and President Trump are navigating a high-stakes political and legal crisis in Minnesota after federal immigration agents fatally shot a Minneapolis man during an enforcement operation. The tragedy has heightened scrutiny of federal immigration policy, triggered protests nationwide, and pushed the administration to adjust leadership and messaging, even as fundamental disagreements about federal authority and civil liberties remain unresolved. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share.